I've recently had a change of heart in terms of how I think about the groups of people that I work with and that I'm connected to. It was very young in my career when I opened my first business. I opened a record company. I was super into music at the time, and I wanted to produce records of the different independent music acts that were in my area that I grew up. And so rather than creating a small local record label that was focused on the needs of the people in my community, I instead had this grand ambition to create an independent record label that spanned the globe. And we actually named our company Globally Independent Records, and it was an S corporation, and I was positioned as the CEO, and I was a teenager at the time, so I knew nothing about what I was doing. I was figuring it out as I went along, but I always kind of had that abstraction to my work. I always thought on a really, really large scale. And even when I was in my graduate degree, when I was studying public health, rather than focusing on the needs of a small community, I took a broader perspective around policy and issues related to education and nursing and healthcare. And that was kind of my approach. That was my comfort zone when it came to the work that I was doing. And I say comfort zone really specifically here because it gave me some sense of reassurance that when I was focusing on more broader level issues that are kind of global in nature or really systemic in nature, it kind of disconnected me. It kept me one part removed from the populations that more or less needed what I was doing, what more or less needed the work that I was engaged in. So I didn't feel this sense of reliance, like there was a dependence that they had on me and the work that I was doing. And I found a lot of comfort in that. It was really an interesting period of my life in reflection, because there was a sense of safety and solace in the fact that I was wrapped up into these really systemic issues, trying to understand the complexity of them, and at the same time disconnected and removed from the communities that really mattered, from the communities that could have benefited or could have connected with my work. And this might be okay when we're dealing with real, what are called wicked problems, these like intractable issues in society around poverty or inequality, because these issues are so grand in scale that it's important that there are people operating at a high level to kind of steer the ship in some ways, to make sure that us as a society are moving in a positive and in a good direction. But at the same time, it does force this disconnection from the people who are actually living day to day and who are affected by these issues. And that's not to knock on the people who are working at a high level, because we need people to work to make small changes that are spread across a large population. And that's where my work was where my work focused for many, many years. It was only very recently that I started taking a new look and a new perspective on my work and really started trying to anchor my work, not in a kind of global community, but really looking at communities of practice on a micro scale, on like a nano scale. So I'm not talking about on a national scale or even a regional scale or even a city scale, but really looking nitty gritty. What is the community experiencing? What is that neighborhood experiencing? What is that apartment block experiencing? What is that family experiencing? And really trying to get into the benefits that my work can have on that smallest group of people, the group of people that I can articulate in the narrowest possible way. I think this is really, really important to be able to conceptualize or understand in your head when you're working with any kind of groups of people, when you're working with any kind of piece of work that's going to affect other people's lives, is that we don't just kind of stay in that safety zone, just once removed or twice removed from the people who are really affected by your work, but we really get into the nitty gritty with them, and we really embed ourselves and try to articulate very, very clearly who are the family that we want to connect with, who is that group of people that we want to work with and that we want to collaborate with. And this doesn't matter whether you're working as an entrepreneur, as an innovator, an academic, or in any other sector is really trying to find what is the smallest possible population that could support your business, that could benefit from your innovation, or that needs new knowledge that can help that group move forward. I think that's the most powerful way that we can use our work as researchers, as academics, as innovators, and as entrepreneurs.